Okay, guys, here's your bonus D tonight. We're discussing how the summer heat impacts the aging or affects the aging. So here we go with the presentation for tonight for D. The phrase, how the summer heat impacts aging according to gerontologists, refers to insights shared by Dr. Marcy P. Smith, a licensed social worker and gerontologist based in South Carolina, during an interview with Fox News, digital drawing from her expertise. Dr. Smith's insight. Dr. Smith highlights how extreme summer temperatures can pose serious risk for older adults, especially when compounded by age-related physiological changes and chronic health conditions. Here's how the surrounding content and related research deepen our understanding. Key impacts of summer heat on aging. Thermoregulation challenges. As people age, their ability to regulate body temperature diminishes. This makes older adults more vulnerable to heats. Stress, dehydration, and heat-related illnesses. Dr. Smith emphasizes that seniors often don't feel thirst, is acutely accurately, which can lead to dangerous fluid imbalances. Biological aging acceleration. The extreme heat may speed up aging in older adults. USC study reveals that prolonged exposure to high temperatures may accelerate biological aging by up to 14 months, especially in heat-prone neighborhoods. This is linked to stress on cellular systems and inflammation, epigenetic changes. Study finds extreme heat could accelerate aging process, explains how heat exposure can influence epigenetic clocks, biological markers of aging through environmental stressors. These changes may increase susceptibility to age-related diseases. Cognitive and cardiovascular strain. Studies suggest extreme heat may speed up aging, discusses how heat can exacerbate cognitive decline and cardiovascular issues, particularly in older adults with pre-existing conditions. Practical prevention strategies. Reducing the negative result of summer heat in the elderly offers actionable advice. Staying hydrated, avoiding outdoor activities during peak heat hours, and using cooling devices. It also stresses the importance of community support and caregiver awareness. Public health implications. Extreme heat can make you age faster. WLOS ABC 13 underscores the need for infrastructure improvements and policy interventions to protect vulnerable populations, especially in regions with frequent heat waves. In short, summer heat doesn't just cause discomfort, it can actively accelerate aging processes and compound health risks for older adults. Dr. Smith's insights, supported by emerging research, call for proactive care, community engagement, and systematic solutions to safeguard aging populations during extreme weather. Especially given your deep commitment to aging equity and infrastructure resilience, combating heat stress in older adults requires a mix of give me 1 second, guys. Personal, environmental, and community level strategies. Here's a synthesis of evidence-based approaches drawn from CDC, NIH, and Harvard Health resources. Personal level strategies. Hydration first. Older adults often have a reduced sense of thirst. Encourage regular fluid intake even before feeling thirsty. Water and electrolyte-rich drinks, not sugary or caffeinated, are ideal. Cooling clothing or cool clothing choices. Loose fitting, light colored, breathable fabrics help regulate body temperature. Avoid synthetic materials that trap heats. Stay in air-conditioned environments during peak heat hours, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. If AC isn't available, use cooling centers or public spaces like libraries. Avoid heat intensifying activities. Limit outdoor chores, exercise, or cooking with stoves, ovens during hot periods. Opt for cooling showers or sponge baths to lower body temperature. Health monitoring and medication awareness. Watch for symptoms. Be alert to signs of heat exhaustion, dizziness, nausea, rapid pulse, confusion, or clammy skin. These can exacerbate quickly to heat stroke. Medication check. Some prescriptions, diuretics, beta blockers, anticoagulants, impaired thermal regulation. Review with a healthcare provider to adjust routines during heat waves. Community and infrastructure supports. Caregiver check-ins. Regular visits or calls, especially during heat alerts, can catch early signs of distress using checklists. Are they hydrated? Do they have cooling access? Cooling infrastructure access. Advocate for shaded walkways, cooling shelters, and emergency response systems in heat-prone neighborhoods. This is especially vital for rural or underserved areas. Heat risks dashboards. Tools like the CDC heat risk dashboard offers localized forecasts and action plans. Would you like to co-design a culturally responsive heat safety toolkit for caregivers or community leaders? We could tailor it to rural aging populations or integrate myth busting around hydration and heat resilience. Heat exhaustion can sneak up on older adults, especially during hot, humid weather. Because aging affects thermal regulation, hydration cues, and cardiovascular resilience is crucial to recognize the early warning signs before it escalates into heat stroke. Here's a comprehensive list of symptoms to watch for in seniors. Common signs of heat exhaustion in older adults. Heavy sweating, even in mild heat. Cool, clammy skin, despite feeling hot. dizziness or lightheadedness, fatigue or weakness, headache, nausea or vomiting, muscle cramps, rapid but weak pulse. Low blood pressure when standing, shortness of breath, fainting or near fainting episodes, cognitive and behavioral flags, red flags, confusion or disorientation, difficulty concentrating, unusual irritability or aggression, delayed response to thirst. These signs may be subtle in older adults due to slower psychological feedback loops and medication effects. For example, diuretics and antihypertensives can mask dehydration or worsen heat sensitivity. When to seek emergency help. Just a minute, guys. I'll get the rest of it for you. Call 911 immediately if you notice loss of consciousness, persistent vomiting, core temperature rising above 103 Fahrenheit, 39.4 Celsius, dry skin with no sweat, a sign of heat stroke, rapid strong pulse and confusion. Would you like to co-create a quick reference guide for caregiver checklists tailored to rural or underserved communities? We could include culturally responsive cues and myth busting around hydration and heat safety. Absolutely. Heat stroke isn't just short-term crisis. It can leave lasting effects. Lasting damage across multiple systems, especially in older adults or those with pre-existing conditions. Here's a breakdown of the long-term effects based on clinical research and expert insights. Neurological and cognitive impairment, brain damage from prolonged high temperatures can result in memory loss, difficulty concentrating, and even permanent motor dysfunction. Survivors may experience delirium, seizures, or long-term changes in mood and behavior. In older adults, heat stroke may accelerate cognitive decline, especially if compounded by vascular or neurodegenerative conditions. Cardiovascular and renal damage. Heat stroke can cause lasting damage to the heart and kidneys, which are critical for thermal regulation and fluid balance. There's increased risk of chronic heart disease, kidney failure, and fatal organ complications years after the event. Dehydration and electrolyte imbalance during heat stroke can trigger arrhythmias or worsen hypertension. Cellular and systematic stress. Heat stroke induces systematic inflammation and oxidative stress, which may accelerate biological aging. It can disrupt epigenetic markers, potentially increasing susceptibility to age-related diseases like dementia or diabetes. Other complications. Studies have shown lung inflammation, blood disorders, and even coma in severe cases. Survivors may have to have reduced heat tolerances, making them more vulnerable to future heat events. Prevention and recovery. Rapid cooling during the event is crucial to minimize long-term damage. Post-recovery care should include hydration monitoring, cardiovascular screening, and cognitive assessments. Community-based interventions like cooling, infrastructure, and caregiver education can dramatically reduce reoccurrence and complications. Would you like to co-create a post-heat stroke recovery guide or a community toolkit for long-term monitoring? We could tailor it for rural aging populations or integrate culturally responsive strategies. For caregiver supports. Here's a concise summary of the key long-term effects of heat stroke, especially relevant for aging populations and those with chronic conditions. Summary: long-term effects of heat stroke. Neurological damage. Prolonged heat exposure can cause lasting brain injury leading to memory loss, confusion, and increased risk of cognitive decline. Cardiovascular and renal strain. Heat stroke stresses the heart and kidneys, potentially triggering chronic heart disease, arrhythmias, or kidney failure. Accelerated biological aging, cellular stress and inflammation from heat stroke may speed up aging processes and increase vulnerability to age-related diseases. Reduced heat tolerance. Survivors often become more sensitive to future heat events with diminished ability to regulate body temperature. Systematic inflammation. Heat stroke can trigger widespread inflammatory responses affecting multiple organs and increasing long-term health risks. These effects underscore the importance of early intervention, post-recovery monitoring, and community-based prevention strategies. If you are thinking about developing a culturally responsive recovery toolkit or caregiver guide, I'd love to help you co-create it. Okay, guys, so that is D for you. Tonight, that was extra for people's FYI for heat exhaustion during these hot temperatures that we've had in the past couple of weeks. So I thought I'd do a show on it. So I hope this gives somebody some information for now. For now, Gator Wellness. Take care, folks.